Good morning, this is Angela with Parker's Permaculture. You can probably hear my poodle Apollo eating noisily in the background, and that's okay. Today's video is actually going to feature him a little bit. This is a little bit of a spoiler video, I guess. It is a subject I had intended to talk about later in the year, but I made a YouTube short and a TikTok yesterday. Ruth was sitting right here working on her German homework or maybe art history or something. And my dogs were up in her face in her computer. They do not like it when we are working on the computer. They often will kind of sabotage and compete for attention. They want you to give them the attention. And so I made a cute little video. I'm not very good at TikTok. It's just not my wheelhouse. I struggle with it. I don't post on it very much. And I don't check it very often, but my kid had alerted me to the fact that there was a comment on this video that I posted. And it basically was like, drop your dog grooming routine. And I don't know whether it was intended as a joke or it was intended as, kind of a rude comment. Maybe I'm a little unable to read without, what the youth use, which are, Ruth, what do you guys call that? Tone indicators? Tone indicators. Tone indicators. It was hard for me to know whether that comment was lighthearted or kind of a jab, because my dogs are a big, furry, shaggy mess in the winter. And that actually is intentional. So you may know that I have two black standard rescue poodles. We rescued them when they were 5 years old, and they have some behavioral issues, mostly because they were under-socialized, but they're wonderful with kids and just really sweet, wonderful companions. Now, there's a lot of work that goes into keeping a non-shedding dog. They need a haircut every 6 weeks or so, and that can be really expensive, anywhere from $120 up to close to $200 per dog. 2 dogs, but I have the benefit of the fact that when I was young, like maybe 11 or 12, my mom taught me how to clip a dog. We had a miniature poodle at the time. So I've always clipped our dogs. And that looks different at different times of the year. I'm really opposed to kind of the formal, rather elitist looking poodle haircut. I'm not interested in that. These are family dogs, and they love to roughhouse and run around at the beach, and they love to make big messes. And I'm not interested in grooming them in that kind of a way. Now, because they're black, I tend to cut them very short in the summer. They get overheated easily being outside with a heavy coat on. But in the winter, I let them grow out on purpose. So that comment on my video of like, drop your dog grooming routine, like, I actually have a routine. Even though my dogs look like they're a complete mess, there actually is a method to the madness. In permaculture, we say slow, small solutions, right? And sometimes those really small things that we do can have a big impact, either for the greater community or just in our own lives. And sometimes you may think like, I am not making huge sweeping ecological changes. I am not crafting and implementing huge policy changes that whole communities will do. Is there even any point to these small things I am doing towards sustainability? And I would say absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. It does not excuse corporations from the systemic harm that they do, and it does not negate the need for broad changes, policy changes, where the bulk of the environmental impact is. But the things that we do, that we are intentional about in our daily lives, actually matter. So I let my shaggy rescue dogs grow out in the winter, and I still keep their faces clipped and their paws clipped, because that's really, that's important. They get muddy paws here in the winter, and they need to not get their faces all wet and dirty eating. But I let their coats grow out, particularly Apollo, because he has the perfect hair for it. So why am I letting my dogs grow their hair out really long? Yes, I use the short little trimming pieces from their summer haircut or from doing their face and their feet. I use those out in the garden for a source of nitrogen. What do I do with all those longer fibers? And there maybe is the little hint, fibers. When I was 18 years old, I was gifted this book, and it was kind of gifted as a joke to me. After I had learned how to knit, my sister got me this book, which is out of print now, but sometimes you can still find it at like thriftbooks.com and places like that. Knitting with dog hair. And if you've ever been around a poodle, they can seem very woolly because they are a non-shedding animal, and they have this kind of kinky curly coat. It really resembles wool from a sheep. And this is a fabulous book all about how to care for your dog's coat, how to harvest the fiber from it, how to prepare it, how to spin it, and then how to knit items with it. It's a great book. And so for Apollo, he actually has a very long staple to his hair. Let me show you. This is last winter's hair. I have a big bag of it. And it has been brushed for the most part. And you can see here he has a really long staple. Hasn't been carded yet. Really long staple, which is great for spinning and spins up really nicely just like wool. Now you can card it 50% with wool if you want. Other breeds of dogs that are maybe shedding dogs that have a shorter staple or have straighter hair that's more difficult to spin are often carded with wool before spinning. So this TikTok video tipped my hand a little bit, but my intention this late winter, early spring period was to make a series of videos for you guys where I show you how I harvest, clean, spin, and then knit, kind of not a sheep to shawl, but like a dog to socks or a dog to beret, or I don't know what kind of garment I'm going to make yet, but a look at that whole process from beginning to end of harvesting a totally sustainable fiber that otherwise would be a waste product. And is that really small thing that I'm doing that's saying like, I can use this as a resource and get something fun out of the process. I don't have the land to have sheep. I dream of having sheep. If we lived in a rural area, I definitely would keep sheep. But I don't have that. So what is my urban substitution here? What is my sustainable alternative? It is using what I have around me, right? It is using the resources that are easily accessible and would otherwise go into the waste stream. And for me, that's dog hair. So I'm going to have a couple of upcoming videos where I show you that process. If you would love to put in the comments what you think I should make, I'm hoping to have about a pound, almost, I think it's probably close to a pound of poodle hair that I'll be processing and working with. So I don't really know what I want to make out of it, but I would love your suggestions down in the comments. There's definitely not enough for a whole sweater, but I could do a shawl, I could do a beret and mitts, I could do socks. So tell me what your thoughts are and what I should knit with this yarn that I'm going to be making from Apollo's coat. But it may seem silly sometimes, and maybe it's just that whimsical enjoyment of being alive and getting to experiment with things and getting to craft and getting to express yourself, just doing something fun and silly. And I feel like that's what this is about. It is that small measure of sustainability that no, it is not cleaning up the garbage patch in the Pacific Ocean. No, it is not, saving an endangered species and protecting their habitat. But it is a small way that I am thinking about how do I use the resources around me. I'm thinking with a permaculture mindset. I'm thinking about utilizing everything and not having any waste products. Trying to frame the way I see the world through a permaculture lens, and I've talked about that in the past, can really shape my whole outlook and the way that I approach small things and really big things. So I hope you'll tune back into this series. I probably will get started on it next week. So keep an eye out in the coming weeks, and that will give y'all time to let me know what you think I should make down below in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with my regular video tomorrow.